Good afternoon, Paula. How are you?
Hi, Moises. How are you? Buenas tardes. Nice to see you.
Buenas tardes. Welcome to day 6 of the 27th annual San Diego Latino Film Festival.
We still have several days to go. We're right in the middle, right?
Yeah, so our festival's 11 days. We're running until September 27th. So there's still plenty of days left and plenty more opportunities to watch films during the festival. Have you been able to see any?
I have. As much as I miss seeing everybody and the press and the energy that you feel when we're all together, I've actually been able to see more movies this year than any other year in the past. And that includes the years when I sponsored it through Channel 10 and Azteca that we sponsored the festival. In the past, I've been able to watch 2, maybe 3 movies. And thus far, I've already watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 movies. So yeah, so I'm doing really, really good. And actually one of the movies we're going to be talking about today. So great movies, touching stories. I'm a big fan of documentaries and that's what I've been watching. So thumbs up to the festival for sure.
That's awesome. Well, the purpose of these Meet the Filmmaker sessions is to talk about film culture, filmmaking, creativity with our participating filmmakers. It's not their official Q&A. It's just a way for audience members to get to know the filmmakers a little bit prior to their film screenings, and also for the filmmakers to interact with one another. Because during the in-person film festival, what's really cool is that filmmakers from all over the world come together and they kind of hang out with each other and watch each other's movies and engage. And we're trying to recreate a little bit of that magic virtually. So should we welcome them onto the stream?
Yes, definitely.
Let's do it. Okay. We have Eli so far and also Jorge. Hi, Eli and Jorge. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Jorge directed Your Iron Lady, and Eli is from Bacoso, Afrobeats de Cuba. How's this afternoon finding both of you?
Good. Thank God. It's been busy, but it's good.
It's evening over here. I'm in Puerto Rico, so we're getting into evening time, and it was a great day.
Well, thanks for joining us despite the time zone. I know you have a Q&A later, so thank you so much for staying up a little bit for us. I had a filmmaker who woke up at 3 a.m. in Vienna to talk to the festival. It's wild. I'm just so appreciative of all the efforts that filmmakers have been doing. And well, let's see. Before we get going, we have more people joining the screen, the discussion. Let's see. Hi, Diego. Hola, Diego. How are you?
Yeah. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you guys.
Hi.
Welcome to the party. Filmmakers might join in intermittently. Some might leave. This is just kind of a big hangout session for our filmmakers to get to know a little bit about one another, talk about filmmaking, creativity, etc. So it's kind of a loose format. And then if people have comments, if you're listening in, please type them out on Facebook or YouTube on the SDLFF film pages. I'll show the filmmakers how it works. So if you have like a comment, Maria Valverde, oh, she's from Canada. Greetings from Canada, she says. So if you have a question for our filmmakers, a comment, drop us a line and I'll make sure to put it on screen. Paula, should we start with maybe hearing a little bit about each filmmaker's film?
Sure. Which one do you want to start with? You want to talk about all of them or you want to go one by one?
Yeah, let's do one by one since it's not a full house yet. So Eli, why don't you give us a little bit of information about Bacoso?
So how y'all doing? So it's a pleasure to be here with Diego, George, and Paula. And Moises. Thank you so much in the San Diego Latino Film Festival. It's an honor to be here. So my film's Bacoso, Afrobeats of Cuba. And I'm sure you guys heard some Afrobeats. It's like the sound of the day, definitely. Mark Anthony and Will Smith did an Afrobeat song. Bad Bunny did their Afrobeat song, but they never really tell the history or like that it comes from the continent of Africa. And so what this story does is talk about Afrobeat in Cuba, and they call it Bacoso, and that's a Yoruban word, like from Nigeria, the West African tribe of Yoruba. And So it is really about how Cuban culture fuses with Afrobeat and brings a new genre of music for the world to enjoy.
Thanks, Eli. Jorge, why don't you go next?
So my film is Your Iron Lady, which is based, or Tu Dama de Hierro, which is based on my mother's unpublished memoir. It played on Saturday and it's playing today again at 4:45. And it's pretty much based on her first 3 years in America when we came to the US. And I'm really happy to be playing at the San Diego Film Festival on a month that's really special to me, because the film's based on the story of us moving to America, and we actually moved to the US back in September of 1988. So it's kind of like a full circle. I never thought I'd be doing a film about my mom's life, nor about us coming here. And as a DACA recipient and part of the LGBTQ community and Latino, I'm just really proud to have this film that's very personal to me be playing at a festival that I really love, because you guys have been so gracious and generous to me in the past couple years. This is my 3rd year in a row, so I'm enjoying it. It's different behind the screen, not being able to attend, but I'm really happy to be here today.
Thanks, Jorge. Diego, why don't you go next?
Yeah, my film is called Supai. It's playing today. It's a documentary, a short documentary. It's an observational film on scissor dancing, which is a very old tradition in Peru that involves a lot of the Andes culture. It's a mystical tradition which dates back to the conquest, you know. And we follow 2 brothers called Rupak and Apu Misti on a journey to Ocochirura, which is a small town where every year they do this festivity. And we learn in this journey that their connection with nature, they're like mediators between the people in the Andes and nature. They do a lot of stunts and really awesome dancing with their scissors, and we get to know a lot about them. And there's a myth in Peru that these dancers are associated with the devil. They have a pact with the devil, with sorcery. And in this documentary, we discovered that that's not really true, that they really are really connected with nature, and they value a lot everything that surrounds them, you know? So, yeah.
Very interesting. I've had the opportunity to watch several movies from the festival thus far. From the 3 of you, I'm very interested in watching all of your films. Jorge, I have watched your film. It was very touching. I watched it over the weekend. So are you David? I believe that was the name of the character that was the son of the movie. You were the little one? Oh, that was I really enjoyed the movie. And for all of you, I wanted to ask you, what sort of message do you hope your film will leave the viewers with? Because from all the movies that I've had the opportunity to watch thus far, I've actually been very touched. Jorge, I actually brought up your movie today. I did an interview on my radio show with an immigration attorney, and I brought up your story of your movie that I watched because it was that touching to me. And it's the story of many immigrants, as is the story of Diego's movie and, you know, Eli's movie. So let's all of us talk about that, about what it was. What sort of message do you hope that your film will leave viewers with? You want to start, Jorge?
Sure. You know, thank you, by the way, for watching it and for talking about it. It's a very special film to me. When I initially made the film, I didn't think it was gonna go this far. To me, it was just a love letter to the three women that I grew up with, which is my mom and my 2 sisters, and of course my brother. But he was in Mexico, and as you saw in the story, he was not really around that time. And I think the only message that as of now, like that I would want people to take from it is that women are strong, and that we should always. And I said this last week, you know, when I was talking, you know, women aren't a trend. Like, we come out of women, and we should be able to tell more of these stories and bring them along with us to tell these stories. Because my mother represents, I think, all the mothers in the world, you know, and it's all the mothers in the world just go through the same thing, whether you're immigrating to the U.S. or you're in Mexico or El Salvador or Colombia or even Lebanon, as what you know what they might be going through right now. We're about to see an influx of like people immigrating to other countries because of the tragedies that just happened in the last couple months. I think I want people to just understand that there's a lot of struggle, but there's also a lot of hope. And I want to, and actually I've been saying this a lot. I like to dedicate this film to all the women and all the mothers, because you know, growing up, they sometimes, I think, feel like parents, particularly mothers, they don't think we see things. But I directed that film from my point of view, where I saw everything that was happening. And I understand that it's a struggle, especially as Latinos and as immigrants in this country, particularly now in the current political climate.
It's amazing you remember so much from your childhood, because there's quite a bit of detail in there. Thank you so much for your film. It was very, very touching. And Eli, what would you like to am I pronouncing your name correctly?
That's it. I really want people that watch the film to remember that our connection to the continent, to Africa, did not end with slavery. A lot of times when we talk about our connection to Africa, it's like they go only back to slavery. But this is something that is continued throughout time. And Afrobeats is just a current example of that. And so when you watch the film, I hope that you see like the feeling of Black Lives Matter, right? About that in the Latino community, a lot of times we also have problems of white supremacy that came with colonization. And it's time to get rid of that. It's time to address it. And we're beautiful in all our shades. And yeah, la vida negra se importa.
Definitely, definitely. And Diego, what would you like to, what's the message that you hope your film will leave with viewers?
Well, definitely, I think it's about our roots as Peruvians, that we don't really explore anymore, you know, that we don't value what our ancestors, our ancestors' culture, you know. It's like it's been a bit forgotten in our originary people, you know, and the figure of the dancer and the mysticism of them, people don't really know a lot about them. They just see them as sorcerers, and it's a common thing in Peru. So what this documentary is trying to shine a light on that, and to shine a light, and these people are actually really talented dancers, and really in connection, in touch with our past and our nature, you know.
Definitely. Very educational. All three movies, there's a lot to learn from this. And I think it's wonderful. One of my favorite types of movies to watch is documentaries. And there's several of these during the festival. So I have definitely learned a lot from our past, our present, and hopefully this will help us form some of our future moving forward. And just also be grateful and appreciative for some of the opportunities we have.
I have two new filmmakers who logged on during the conversation. So I'm going to add them to the thread. We have Rodrigo Ocelli, director of La Sanadora.
Hi, everybody.
And then Ebony Bailey, director of Jamaica Tamarindo, Afro Tradition in the Heart of Mexico. Hi, Ebony. How are you?
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Rodrigo and Ebony. We've kind of been talking about what everyone's film is about. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about your movies, and maybe also include what sort of message you share with the public who watches it?
Go ahead, Ebony.
Thank you. So my film is called Jamaica Tamarindo. It's a Afro Tradition in the Heart of Mexico. It's a short documentary, and it is about kind of the Afro traditions in Mexico through food. Jamaica, la flor de Jamaica y Tamarindo are two ingredients that are really commonly associated with Mexico, at least in Mexico and Mexican American communities. I've come from a Mexican American background, so I grew up eating los dulces de tamarindo and drinking agua de Jamaica and all of that stuff. So when I found out that Jamaica, la flor de Jamaica was from Africa, I was like, what? And I was just like, oh, I need to do something with this. And I was also studying master's in documentary film, so this became my thesis film. But the film basically takes these two ingredients that are super Mexican with African heritage and uses them as a metaphor to talk about Afro heritage in Mexico and the erasure and the presence of Black populations in Mexico. And so that's kind of what the film is about. And I think the message is to obviously like Afro-Mexicanos, Mexicanos in general, and the Afro diaspora in general, and the Latinx community. And so those are the people who I really aim for this film to like speak to.
Thank you, Ebony. Thank you for sharing. Rodrigo, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So my film is a documentary feature. It's called Las Sanadoras, and it's about a network of women that they produce and they make cannabis medicine illegally for their children. It's a group of mothers all around the country that they got together because they don't have access to traditional medicine because of the cost. And they found in cannabis a solution for their life and for their children. So the documentary goes along with the president of this foundation that is called Mama Cultiva. That is it's an incredible woman. Her name is Cecilia, and she takes us like in this underworld of this network. And it's incredible that today these women, they face up to 25 years of jail if they catch them with oil, seeds, a plant. So the documentary goes all the way deep in the legal part, the medicinal part, and we have a lot of testimonies. We even interview, lawyers, doctors, and one of the most interesting things about the documentary is that in my experience, at the end, I was like, the future is female. It's incredible in this cannabis world in Mexico. The doctors are women. The lawyers are women. The mothers that are fighting, of course, they're women. So it's like an indicator in my experience. I mean, women are taking charge, and it's not only Mexico. This foundation called Mama Cultiva. Now we have Mama Cultiva Chile, Brazil, Paraguay, Ecuador, Colombia, Mexico. So, and in all these Latin American countries, women are being persecuted by the law and the narcos in Mexico. Imagine they need to challenge both sides, because it's not only the law, also los narcos, they come with these women because they told us many stories about this, and they come to their doors and they're like, knock, knock, and the narco appears in the door and he's like, okay, I know you're making oil. If I catch you selling either the flower or the oil, you pay the price. If it's for your children, it's okay. But if not, you're messing with your business. So imagine all the documentary goes along, challenging all these topics and how these women, they are so brave. I cannot tell you, it changed honestly my perception of many things, because these ladies, they play their lives every day in the line. And since the regulation in Mexico of cannabis was supposed to pass since 2017, we are almost in 2021 and nothing has changed. So that's what Las Sanadoras is about.
Thank you so much, Rodrigo. We have another filmmaker joining us, who I think is from the Supai team, Eduardo Noblecillo. Hi, Eduardo.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Hi.
Hi. Eduardo, my co-director.
Yeah. I think Diego told you something about Supai.
Yeah, do you want to add anything about its premise or the message that you hope that it connects with,
I think
an audience?
the message of the short film is about nature and the connection that, as a Peruvian, have with our culture. The scissor dancer has a opportunity to live with a magic town. We as a filmmakers are very interested to show the reality of these communities. And the connection that a scissor dancer have with the nature is very important for this community. So we really appreciate the work of that tradition.
Thank you, Eduardo. I think the next question is a little bit more general, and I hope not everyone has to answer, but if you have some feedback, maybe just raise your hand or interject whenever appropriate. as a festival of Latinx film, like we're always looking for authentic representations of the Latinx experience, kind of on a worldwide level. I want to understand, maybe as from a filmmaker's perspective, is how is your cinema representative of the type of films that you think should be being made, not only in festivals but in like broad distribution? How do you think your film connects with that? Anyone want to go first? Or I'll call on someone.
I'll go first.
Okay, Jorge.
I mean, I think that the most important part about making films is that we stay true to ourselves and that we have integrity when we're making them. Whether it be, of course, I'm very grateful that my film is able to play at a festival like your festival, because you guys really do the work to get films that show what we really don't see on mainstream media. But at the end of the day, like me growing up, I grew up watching stuff like Jenner, Nazi, Woody Allen, or David Fincher, and I never really saw a director that I could say, oh, I want to, I look up to that, or I see myself, other than like Alfonso Cuarón or Guillermo del Toro, and that was something that even though I was born in Mexico, me growing up in the U.S., I never really saw myself identify with that. You guys hear me?
Yeah. Does someone have a lot of noise in their background? Maybe we can mute ourselves if someone's talking. I hear maybe traffic.
Probably. So yeah, like I was saying, even though I was born in Mexico and growing up here, there's kind of like a culture shock, because it's really like the experience of growing in Mexico and growing up in the U.S. is very different. But to me, it's like I think the only way we can get through true representation is just staying true to our own vision and never losing the integrity of what we want to, of the stories we want to tell. And that's whether you're telling a Latinx story or a Black story or an Asian story. I mean, I think the beauty about art is being able to create something that, that just shows our vision. If I'm not sure if I'm making sense, because it's just such a broad question, but just integrity in general. I think we got to stay true to our vision.
Thanks, Jorge. Eli, do you have anything to say?
Say one more time the question.
Yeah, I guess how does your film contribute to the type of representation you want to see in the movie industry? Not just only festivals, but maybe in broader distribution.
Definitely. So the documentary industry has been, I think, very extractive in terms of the storytelling. When people go in and tell stories in a community, and then they come out and they sell the film. And so I'm really interested in developing what just storytelling looks like. And I have a whole theory and practice called participatory action filmmaking. And it's about not being the fly on the wall. It's about working alongside the community and making a film with the community rather than about the community. And so that's what I'm interested in. I think the old age saying goes from Africa that until the lion gets to tell their story, the hunter's story will always be told. It'll always be told through the hunter's eyes, right? And so when the lions get to tell the stories about other lions, that's when we'll get the full story. And I believe that's what the San Diego Latino Film Festival is a platform for. And that's why it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, Eli. Does anyone else want to say anything about this topic?
Yeah, I'll go. You go ahead.
Do you want to, Diego, you go? Oh, and Ebony? Okay, so whoever
Diego
wants to go. Okay, Diego first and then Ebony.
Yeah, I just want to say, well, really, in Peru, it's very difficult for regional cinema to be seen. It's very centralized. There's a lot of stories told from Lima, from the capital, and there's not a lot of cinema from other regions that is being distributed. So there are some efforts like this film festival or some other film festivals that try to have more of representation of other films, of other filmmakers that are not only from the capital, and because it's hard to do cinema in Peru. It's a lot harder to do in other regions. So I think we need to see more of them. We need to see more stories from them. So yeah, that's very important. And thanks to this film festival for showing this type of films.
Ebony, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Basically, just echoing what everybody said. I think especially what Jorge was saying about staying true to yourself and having integrity. I think that really comes out whenever you do your work, and then that ¿cómo se llama? Como que it draws attention to specifically like these types of film festivals. Sorry, I'm in Mexico and I normally talk about this stuff in Spanish, so sometimes I get confused. But
you can talk in Spanish. You can talk in Spanish if you want.
It's okay. I should try to speak more in English, but yeah, I think like personally, kind of as just someone who is Mexican, as I say, Mexican American, African American, and who wants to like keep visualizing, making visible these issues of Afro Latinx stories. I think that's really important for me, and hopefully that like in my vision of wanting this work to get to the communities that I think it should get to, hopefully it also like reaches other audiences as well. But I'm always focused on making sure it reaches the Black and the Latinx community.
Thank you, Ebony.
I have a question for you in particular, and also a comment for Jorge. I want to congratulate you on your movie. I know I already did earlier today, but I think it's very important to relay that message because the experience that you lived, you are an example of the American dream. I know you mentioned that you're participating currently under the DACA program, and there's a lot of controversy over that program. But for example, for any youth watching, and then they can see you, I mean, your family must be also extremely proud of what you've been able to achieve coming at such a young age to this country without even knowing the language, because I don't want to give too much away about the movie, but I remember that was something that was mentioned during the movie. And it's amazing the sacrifice that your mother did and the things that some of the lines she says in the movie were just so touching about coming to this country, because a lot of people, I believe, have the perception of, oh, they come to this country, but she really portrays that she came here for a better life for her children and herself, for her family. You want to comment on that?
We can't hear you, Jorge.
We can't hear you, Jorge.
Sorry. Yeah, I just realized that. Yeah, sorry. No, thank you so much for that comment and for bringing that up. I made this story based on a short story, unpublished memoir that my mom did, and I took 3 chapters from it. And I said, we're going to concentrate in this. But she was in a marriage for 22 years that was very abusive, both physically and psychologically. And it wasn't until a couple years ago when, I asked her to retire, and I said, look, come and live with me. Like, we'll figure it out. And I want you to do something that's going to make you feel like, because she would always say, I just don't have a purpose. And I was like, well, find something that you think will make you have a purpose. And, she has a cooking channel now. She has a blog with over 70,000 followers, and she's very active on social media. But aside from that, when having seen her, that's my biggest inspiration. And being able to make the fact that I was able to make this film for her, and again, for my sisters, was very important. I didn't think about the what was going to happen once it came out, because, and I'm so happy to say this, because as of today, we're officially in the running for a Golden Globe. Like, we submitted for nomination, like we qualified, we became eligible, and we're running a campaign. And to be part of the DACA program, or as Dreamers, everybody knows them. The only thing I can think about is that if I'm able to stand that stage on Golden Globes night, I want to dedicate this to all my community, because it's important that they understand that we are living under an administration that's constantly trying to shut us down. But I've said it before, and I've said it again, I'll say it again, with or without a paper, we're bound to succeed. And this administration can try to send us wherever they want, but we're not going anywhere. And if I decide to go somewhere else, I'm still going to succeed. It's not up to the president whether I succeed or not. It's up to me. And the fact that this story is resonating with a lot of people, it just makes me feel really happy, and it makes me feel my heart with joy, because we made this film with $1,000, and you guys know that making cinema is very difficult. We had a budget of only $1,000, which we divided in 20 days just for food. Everybody that came to this film was a labor of love. We all defer our pay, particularly the star of the film, who's very known in the American market, Mexican American market. But You said for the youth that's watching us, whether you're going to film school, or whether you're going to law school, or you want to become a physician, just stay focused, and don't think about it. Don't think about struggles, because the moment you think about a struggle, you give that struggle the power. And the only thing standing in your way half of the time, if not most of the time, is yourself. So we got to stop looking for validation and just realize that we're here to succeed no matter what. And I want nothing more than to see our youth succeed, because they are the generation that's going to change things around.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm sorry.
Especially here in America, because we're going through a shift. So,
yeah. Definitely. Thank you so much for that. I have a question now for Rodrigo. I watched your movie, Rodrigo, Las Sanadoras. It was a very touching movie. And as a mother, all I could think of through the entire movie is I would do the same for my daughter as a mother. Is there something that you can say there about some of the experiences that you lived with these mothers and the sacrifices that they're doing at putting themselves at risk for the health and the well-being of their children?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that. One of the best anecdotes was when I finally met Cecilia, the president of Mamá Cultiva. After a long talk and everything, when she agreed to participate in the doc, I was like, well, if you want, I can keep you anonymous. We can put little squares in everybody. And she gave me one of the most incredible answers, and I knew in that point what we were getting into it. And she answered, because if I go anonymous on this documentary, that makes me no different than a drug dealer. So I want to show my face. I want people and the government to see that I'm not a drug dealer and I don't deserve to be treated that way. So imagine the mindset in these women is amazing. And they are really risking it. I was talking a few days ago with another person, and because they brought to our attention that they were asking us if the documentary was legal in Mexico, because we have right now it's an illegal piece of cinema because of the same reason. I cannot screen the documentary commercially in Mexico because we are fracturing the law, because I'm promoting use of cannabis. I'm showing the people how to prepare it, and I'm showing children underage taking cannabis. So imagine that even our documentary is illegal in my own country. It's absurd. And on the other hand, you have our president shaking hands with one of the most wanted men in America. So, I mean, come on. And then these poor ladies, they need to hide. They have their plants in their houses, and they need to transport them at night from one house to the other. And it's really crazy, and it's happening right now under our noses.
It was a very touching story. I wasn't even aware of this happening in Mexico, so I learned a lot through watching your documentary. So thank you so much for that. And honestly, as a mother, I said, you know what? I would do the same for my daughter. I think any parent would. Yeah,
sure, for sure. I mean, that's what I was telling you. I think that when I say that the future is female, I really mean it. There are so many things happening that depend on women that are taking charge of things. And I think Las Sanadoras is just another big example that I think we need to pass all the control to them. I think they have a better view of things, and they act from love and not from interest. That's one thing I learned meeting all these amazing women.
Thank you, Rodrigo, for that feedback. If I can maybe pose another open-ended question, eager to hear what you each think. We have a lot of aspiring filmmakers who may not have shot their first short film or their first feature at our film festival, who watch our films and listen to our discussions. I'm wondering, what is the best piece of advice that you've received during your career that you've applied to your filmmaking technique or style? And then what is your own piece of advice that you would like to pass on to an emerging filmmaker who might want to take that first step to making their film, their first feature? Anyone can answer. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to start off. Yeah, Rodrigo?
Well, I think one piece of advice I got when I was really young is you need to you need to be faithful to your own ideas. And the best way to get started in filmmaking is tell a story that you're passionate about. I think that's one of the key parts. Don't try to emulate or to copy, another director or a style. No, be true to yourself. I mean, you want to tell a story about a little ant in the street? Go ahead, just do it. I mean, we are in a profession that the only way to get better, I mean, one thing is talent, the other thing is your craft, and you are responsible of your craft. And the only way to improve your craft is hours and hours and short films and documentaries. And it's the only way to really find your voice as a director or a writer. That will be, just do it. I mean, stop asking for permission. It doesn't matter what age you have. It doesn't matter you're 60 or 12 or 14. Just jump. I mean, like they say, the worst movie is the one that doesn't get made. So don't be so scared.
Anyone else? Jorge. Yeah, go ahead.
I have 3, and I actually have these. It's my wallpaper. The first one is to not have a plan B, because when you have a plan B, you're automatically giving up on your plan A. So you should just be focused and have one plan. The second is to aspire to fail. You should always aspire to fail, because failure is a clear sign of success. It's literally, I see them as steps, and it's very broad. I mean, there's more to it, but just aspire to fail, because it's the best feeling when you don't fail. And the third one is believe in yourself the same way you believe in God, or the same way you believe in others. Because often we seek validation, but we don't validate ourselves. And we are the first ones to believe in so-and-so, or believe in products, or believe in campaigns, or believe in commercials, or believe in whatever it is that they tell us. But we are always the first ones to not believe in ourselves. And it's very important that you get up every morning and you say, I can and I will, and I did. Because if you don't, nobody's going to do it. You can walk into a room and pitch a film, a series, or pitch whatever you're doing. But if you don't have that confidence, if you don't have that energy, people feed off of that. So always believe in yourself the same way you believe in whatever it is that you believe on, because it's very important. People can sense that. So those 3 things for me.
Eduardo or Diego, do you want to add something, or Eli?
I'll say something really quick. I think that, we are all created differently, and that uniqueness is what makes our story special. So even with all the money in the world, nobody would be able to tell the story that I tell, because of my life experience. And so just think about that. Like, what do you have uniquely that you can offer to the world? And I want to remind you that you are unique. So go ahead and tell that story.
Thank you, Eli. Diego, did you have something to add?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just be authentic with your vision. Stay true to what you want to tell, and like Rodrigo said, go out and film. Just don't be afraid to pick up your camera and go outside and film. I heard a line from Robert Rodriguez. I'm not sure if I'm going to quote it correctly, but it's like, if you have a dog, do a film about your dog. If you have some friends, you have a dog, you can have a camera, get them together and shoot something. It's everywhere. The value of production is everywhere. You just need to create, and through that process, you can find your own voice. Me and Eduardo worked together since university. And we filmed a lot before making Supai. We filmed on the street. We filmed a street boxer that sold the ropes on the street. We made a short documentary on him. And that was kind of like a practice to do other things. And we made commercials, and we did music videos with no budget. We made rap videos with no budget at the beginning of our filmmaking career. And we just went out and shoot. Don't be afraid to do that. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Diego. Yeah, go ahead, Eduardo.
I think the last thing is be grateful, because Diego and I, we are very lucky to have a lot of friends since the university, who help us in our projects. You know that filmmaking is cost a lot of money, so you need friends, and you have to listen them and listen the stories that they have, because you can improve filmmaking together, you know. And for me, that's the clue, no? A work as a team. And well, Diego and I, we have 5 years like film together, and I think we improve a lot our skills. So just do it. I think that's the key.
Thanks, Eduardo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eduardo. Ebony, do you want to chime in, or do you want us to move on to the next question? Do you want us to repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear the question.
That's okay. I can repeat it. We just have a lot of aspiring filmmakers tuning in and watching our films. A lot of them, when they meet filmmakers at our festival, they ask them, like, what sort of advice would you give an aspiring filmmaker, or what sort of advice would you give me, more specifically? And then maybe if you want to share a piece of advice from someone else that you've carried with you through your filmmaking career.
Yeah, for sure. I think this actually makes me think specifically about an instance where I was in this kind of like emerging filmmakers cohort for Latinx filmmakers, but they were giving us advice about the industry and a bunch about networking and all of this stuff. And one of the things that really stuck with me when they were giving us this advice was to network horizontally and not vertically. So basically, like, to find people who are, you know, kind of like on your level, if that makes sense, to collaborate with, kind of like engage in what y'all have been talking about, like the labor of love, people to collaborate with, people you click with, and build from there. Don't try to climb a ladder that maybe nobody is looking at, or don't try to find some validation from somewhere that maybe they're not looking for you. Build connections with people who are interested in connecting with you, and you can make really great things that way.
Very interesting
Ebony.
perspective. Very interesting perspectives from all of you. Thank you very much. We have another question for you. So during these challenging times of the pandemic, we know it's been hard to shoot in certain locations, to go outside, to get an entire film crew together. What have been some of your creative outlets and some advice you might share to be able to continue, doing your art during this challenging time? Who wants to start? Does somebody want to talk? Oh, thank you, Rodrigo.
Well, I think for this couple of months that everybody was at home, I think it was a great opportunity. For example, in my case, it was a chance when all the work, like settles down, it was a great opportunity to start writing. I think it was a great door to those projects that you had, holding down. It was great. Like, hey, I don't have anything to do but write, so there's no excuse. So writing was a great thing, and I think even in Netflix there was a small short films compilation. It was all the way from Paulo Sorrentino, and that shows that when you have a creative mind, you keep creating under any circumstance. So it's like Jorge said before, you don't have to stop. And it doesn't mean that small project you do, it's going to go to film festivals and everything. But I think as creatives as we are, that's our stronghold. We need to keep creating, keep putting ideas into paper, and in a really short amount of time, they fly. I mean, it's like the natural course of things. If you don't put energy in it, you're stuck. So you need to put the work. That's what I was telling you. One thing is a talent, the other one is a craft. You need to do the work. Sit down, write, create. And of 100 ideas, I bet one idea is going to fly, and it's going to fly high. So I think that's the way this pandemic left us.
That's wonderful advice. Yes, Eli?
So it's been an interesting journey. I just came from the Miami International Film Festival. We did a sold-out screening of Baco. So and I landed in California to go to the San Diego Latino Film Festival. And the pandemic hit. This is on my birthday, actually, on March 9th. And I got a Watsonville Film Festival and San Diego both canceled the next day. And I was stuck basically in California for about 3.5, 4 months before I came back here to Puerto Rico because I didn't want to get on a plane. So in that time, what I was able to do was write grants as an artist and as somebody that's on the road and moving a lot. Rarely do I get the time to sit down and look for funding. So my next film is called We Still Here, and it's about a community in Comerío after the Hurricane Maria coming together and showing what just recovery looks like. So it's been an amazing journey. As you know, if you're a filmmaker and you write grants, you get turned down a lot. So I had to put my head in the books, get some help, write some grants, and I'm happy to say that some of them are coming through. So use the time wisely.
Congratulations. That is also very good advice. Before we close, I would like to ask all of you if you want to share your social media, the social media for your film, your own social media, if folks want to follow you also. And Jorge, can you also, I don't know if you're comfortable, but if you want to share your mom's social media, I'd love to follow your mom as well.
Yeah, of course. You can find my mom on Cocina con Tessa. That's cocina, like cooking in Spanish, con with, and then Tessa is Tessa. And then find our film on your Iron Lady Film on social media, all social media platforms. We're playing today at 4:45, and we're very happy. We're very excited.
Thank you. And then let's move on. Eduardo, do you want to share the movie social media, and Diego as well? And I don't know if you want to share yours as well.
Yeah, you can see a trailer in cholofilm.com and on Instagram. Yeah, Diego?
Yeah, cholo.film on Instagram and Facebook. You can find our production company. We shoot documentaries and cinema. And Supai has an Instagram page called Supai Short Doc.
Excellent. Thank you. And Rodrigo, for the movie Las Sanadoras?
Yeah, you can find us on, well, our production company is Veta Films with a small V. You can find us in IG and in Facebook, and you can follow the IG of the documentary is Las Sanadoras _documental.
Excellent. Thank you. And Eli for Bacoso. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Bacoso?
Bacoso.
Bacoso, yeah, that's right.
I see the accent.
You can follow our journey at Fist Up TV. So FISTUP TV. And yes, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to stay in touch. I also run a real small film festival for my community in the Bay Area. So I'd love to be in touch with you filmmakers and bring your films out there. So it's telling these stories is so important.
Great.
Oh, and we have
Great.
Ebony back. Sorry, we have Ebony back.
Ebony, do you want to share your social media and your movies? And I have one follow-up question for you, Ebony. Did you eat a lot of tamarindo and drink a lot of Jamaica during your movie? I mean, you probably did, but I'm just curious if there was a favorite type of tamarindo or agua de Jamaica that you tasted that was just unique or had a special twist to it.
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of the question one more time?
Sure. So the first part is if you want to share your social media and the movies. And the second part is because of the topic of your movie, Tamarindo and Jamaica, was there did you taste a lot of tamarindo while you were making it? And agua de Jamaica, and was there one in particular that had a special recipe or twist that you would like to share? I love tamarindo.
Yeah, so first the social media. So my social media on everything is Ebony Marie B on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And then you can find Jamaica on Facebook at Jamaica y Tamarindo Film. And that's on Facebook. And to answer the question, yeah, I ate a lot in the filming of the documentary, and I think that what was really cool is that I interviewed one woman, her name's Seina, and she's Senegalese Mexican, and she makes a lot of kind of fusion dishes between Senegalese dishes and Mexican dishes because a lot of dishes in Senegal also use Jamaica y Tamarindo. And one thing she made was a salsa de Jamaica con habanero and it was so good. It's like one of the best salsas I've ever had in my life. So, but I think you can make like derivatives if you get habanero and jamaica and then onions, cilantro, and things like that, and it's really good.
Delicious. Thank you for sharing that. I look forward to seeing your documentary.
Thank you.
Before we close, I wanted to ask every filmmaker's favorite question. Really fast, lightning round. What is your favorite movie? We can close on that positive note. Only one. Yesterday's filmmakers all rose to the challenge and were able to answer pretty quickly. Let's see how you guys do. Let's do Eli.
My favorite film is La Haine from France. And I just want to remind you that tonight at, 6:50, we're showing Baco Sol at the San Diego Latino Film Festival.
And then Eli's going to be doing a Q&A afterwards with Luis. So stick around. It'll start around 7:40, 7:45 p.m. Okay, Jorge, favorite movie?
Black Swan.
Okay. Diego, favorite movie?
There Will Be Blood by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Nice. Rodrigo?
I think Dreamers by Bertolucci.
Okay. And then Eduardo?
The Bad, the Good, and the Ugly by Sergio Leone.
Nice.
Amazing film selections. Ebony, I think, might have signed off, but I'm going to email her and ask her what her favorite movie is because I know we're all eager to know. Oh, here she is again. Ebony, before you go, you got to tell us your favorite movie.
My favorite movie, Moonlight.
Moonlight. Perfect. All right. Thank you all for joining us. It's been an amazing session. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I really thank all of you for being so willing to share your films and your time with the San Diego Latino Film Festival. I know the cancellation back in March was a bit catastrophic for everyone involved. And we were uncertain of the type of response we would get by launching a virtual film festival. But I do got to say that the filmmakers are the heart and soul of the festival, have always been the heart and soul of the festival. And, I'm so glad that we're able to connect through these virtual avenues. Sometimes during the festival, the programmers are running around like crazy. So I don't even feel like I get to connect with any of you, but I feel very connected through these sessions. So thank you. And thank you, Paula, for helping moderate. And best of luck to all the filmmakers. We can't wait to see your films, and hopefully we get to share an in-person experience in the not-so-distant future. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Hasta luego.
Bye.
Buenas noches.
Hasta luego.
Ciao.
Ooh, everyone's